The Nashville Predators currently find themselves in 7th place in the Central Division after 38 games skated. They have a record of 11, 20, and 7. Playoff picture is getting pretty far out of reach, so we won't even be mentioning that. 29 points is where the Nashville Predators sit near the middle point of the season, still in the 20s in points on the road, which is where the Nashville Predators' next game will take place. As a matter of fact, it'll be the 4th game of a 6-game so far disastrous road trip. The Predators' record this season, which is disastrous, 3-13-4. The Predators have scored 91 goals. That's the least amount in the Central Division. They've given up 122. That's almost the most in the Central Division. They have a goal differential of minus 31. The Predators' week ahead looks like this. After this game Friday night in Vancouver against the Canucks, the next night, Saturday, Calgary, and then Tuesday in Winnipeg to wrap up the 6-game road trip. That's right, their second trip to Winnipeg on this 6-game road trip. Back home finally on January the 11th for the first time in 2025 to face off against the Washington Capitals, the 14th versus the Vegas Golden Knights, and the 16th versus the Chicago Blackhawks. Before we get into the season series, the Canucks preview, and the matchup itself, let's talk about the latest Central Division standings update. The Winnipeg Jets find themselves in first place after 39 games skated, so getting very close to the middle point of the season now. 55 points for the Jets. The Minnesota Wild are in second place with 50 points. Colorado Avalanche are in third place with 46 points. The Dallas Stars in fourth with 45 points. Then you'll find St. Louis in fifth place with 40 points. The Utah Hockey Club has 38 points in sixth place, and the Predators at 29, and the Chicago Blackhawks in eighth and final spot in the Central with 26 points. The season series between the Nashville Predators and the Canucks, it's the second of 3 regular season meetings. They met the first time back on November the 17th. The Predators went to Vancouver, so this will be their second and final trip to Vancouver for this regular season. On that game in the 17th of November, the Predators winning 5-3. Saros got the victory, 24 out of 27. Stamkos picked up 2 goals. Nyquist, LaRue, and Yossi also scored for the Predators. Lankinen went 17 out of 21, picked up the loss. It was Rattay, Sherwood, and Pettersson scoring for the Canucks. On the 29th of January is when the Nashville Predators will host the Vancouver Canucks at Bridgestone Arena. That will be the third and final regular season meeting between these two teams. The Vancouver Canucks over in the Pacific Division, 17, 11, and 8 overall in the season, 42 points, has them fifth in that division. 7, 7, and 6 on home ice, 112 goals for, 115 goals against. It's a goal differential of -3. Their most recent stretch of completed games will go back 5. We'll go back to December the 19th. We'll pick it up with a 3-1 loss at the Vegas Golden Knights. Follow that up on the 21st of December with a 5-4 overtime loss versus the Ottawa Senators. On the 23rd of December, a 4-3 win versus San Jose. The 28th of December saw a 5-4 overtime loss versus the Seattle Kraken. And most recently on New Year's Eve, a 3-1 loss at the Calgary Flames. The Canucks will be on the ice in Seattle to face off against the Kraken Thursday. Then we'll have to travel home to face off and host the Nashville Predators on Friday. There are some news and injury updates for the Nashville Predators. Let's talk about those real quick, then we'll jump back into this game preview and matchup. Cole Smith is still on injured reserve, about 4 more weeks anticipated until his return. We do not know a time frame or an injury update for Luzon at this point, but we do know he left the previous game where the Predators did not return in that game. And also, Zach LaRue has been summoned by the league for disciplinary hearing to be determined when that will take place. So as of this recording, we still had no information of even when the hearing would take place, nor what the consequence would be. But this is in regard to the slew foot penalty against Spurgeon in the Minnesota Wild game. I do anticipate, since it was a match penalty, that LaRue is going to be suspended when he gets his disciplinary hearing. Now, back to the matchup between these two teams. And again, it is incomplete because the Vancouver Canucks do have one more game in Seattle before facing off against the Predators. Goals for on the season, 2.39 for the Predators, 32nd in the NHL. The Predators have moved back into their favorite position in offense in the NHL, which is last. 3.11 for the Vancouver Canucks. It's 13th best in the NHL. And goals against the Predators are giving up 3.21 per game. That's 23rd. The Vancouver Canucks are giving up 3.17. That's 21st. So a very comparable statistical metric right there. In the shots on goal category, the Predators 29.4 24 generated per game is 12th best. Vancouver 25.7 is 29th. Shots against category, the Predators are giving up 29.7 per game. It's 26th. 28.2 for Vancouver is 13th. When it comes to the special teams matchup, the Predators' power plays converting at 18.7%. That's 21st overall in the NHL. 20 conversions on 107 opportunities. For the Vancouver Canucks, they have the 10th best power play in the league, converting at 23.5%. 24 power play conversions on 102 opportunities. The penalty kill, the Predators are in free fall. 83.9% has them dropping now to 5th place in the NHL. They had occupied the number 1 overall spot in the NHL for seemingly the entirety of the season and now have slipped all the way to 5th place in this recent stretch of this 3-game road trip, the beginning of this road trip. When it comes to the penalty kill for the Vancouver Canucks, 81.7% kill rate is 10th best in the NHL. They've given up 20 power play goals against on the season. When it comes to the individual statistical leaders for both of these teams, let's start with the home team Vancouver Canucks. Hughes at 8 goals and 34 assists for 42 points. Pettersson 10 and 18 for 28. Garland 9 goals, 19 assists for 28 points. DeBrusk 16 goals, 11 assists, 27 overall points. Bosser 14 and 11 for 25. Over on the Nashville Predators side of things, Philip Forsberg still paces the Predators, 9 goals, 21 assists, 30 points overall. Jonathan Marchessault has the number 1 overall goal total on the team with 14. Add 13 assists to that. His point total is 27. Yossi's at 7 goals, 7 assists for 24 points. Stamkos 11 and 12 for 23. And O'Reilly's now at 9 goals, 13 assists for 22 points. Anticipated goaltender matchup sees UC Saros at 8, 16 and 6 with a 2.82 goals against average and 903 save percentage and 3 shutouts facing off against Kevin Lankinen. 14, 6 and 4, 2.58 goals against average, 908 save percentage, also 3 shutouts on the season. Yes, that Lankinen, that was the Nashville Predators backup the last couple of years. He's finding tremendous success there in Vancouver. That's got you all set up for this game. Nashville Predators game 4 of a 6-game road trip in Vancouver, where they've already won 1 game this season back on November the 17th. They look to duplicate that effort, and they need these points incredibly badly. Catching Vancouver on the second night of back-to-backs, where the Canucks have to travel while the Predators have had an extra day off. Nothing seems to work out for this Predators team when it's supposed to, or the easy way. So for the Nashville Predators, why do I get the feeling the Vancouver Canucks will have more energy and look more prepared to play coming into this game? I sure hope not. The Predators have the Canucks in a good scheduling scenario right here to get themselves at least out of a funk for one night. That's going to do it for the preview portion of this. Let's go back and talk about what happened in the last game. The Predators were in Minnesota to take on the Wild. It was the second night of back-to-back for the Preds, and they were dealing with some difficulties. Let's figure out how it all went down. Cerebro Sports Full Game Recap coming up next right here, Renegades of Puck Podcast.